Welcome everybody, Red Arrow 23 here. Time for another edition to the Boom Beach Playbook. We're going to be doing Callisto Core Rush from 12 o'clock. So let's boom this beach! So this one we're going to be doing a little bit diagonally. We're not going to be doing like a straight 45 walk. But you'll see what I mean when we do it. So here we go. Heading on up, we're already starting to clear mines. We're just going to go once, as we usually do, once all the way through. So you guys can count smokes and look at these flare points without interruption, and then we'll break it down. So here we go, clearing out those cells on the right hand side, flaring up into the starting spot, and then he sends his long flare. So here we go, getting right up into position, and then he's going to re-flare just above the core. And there we go, that's where we're going to be hitting the core from, 12 o'clock, gets the shocks out, and boom. Boom goes the core, not many Zookas left, great hit. Let's check it out in a bit more detail. This one from BVD, so right, let's check it out. So first things first, why would we want to use this particular path? First things, you need to make sure that these power cells are present. I guess they don't necessarily need to be there, but you definitely need to be able to flare to that starting point, which was just underneath this cannon, and then flare across. If that path works for you, I mean, if there's a rocket launcher cover on the beach, like there's nothing covering until about here. And then you can smoke all the way up there. You can collect a bunch of GBE from those cells, so that works out really well. But the main thing is, in the usual layout of Callisto, 12 o'clock is more smokes and more shocks, usually. But from up here, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shocks, I believe. Don't think that one's in range, but let's have a look. So what we're going to do first is just flag land. We can flag land. There's no need to flare because we're going to be just collecting all these cells. Not too worried about how they spread. They're all going to walk up. None of them are going to touch these mines. Sometimes there is a line of mines just underneath these two cannons, and yep, you'll have to clear them out. So bear that in mind. And once you've worked out how many smokes this is going to take, your flares, or everything in total, you'll know how many cells that you need to take. If you're going to be using more than one attack, you obviously need to be thinking about only taking half the cells if you can do that. What we did miss is that he cleared out the boom mines above this line, so he definitely needs to take them out, especially for the hero. The hero is going to be the first troop on scene. So then this flare point is going to be pretty important. It's just right here in between these power cells and these cannons, and that's going to be our starting point. If we're not there before we do our flare up, they're not going to walk the same, and that's really going to be critical for this attack, is making sure that we get our we know where our Zookas are going to walk so we can smoke appropriately. So let's have a look at that flare point. It's right on the wall just above this corner here. So right on that wall, and make sure that it is just above that corner, and then we can start to watch this path. So at max they're going to be splitting into two lines, and this is going to be the path that they take. They're going to converge into one line there, and we can start spreading out our smokes a little bit. Brick is going to get a little bit further ahead, but that's fine. As long as we time those smokes well, we should be all good. So when I say time the smokes really well, we want our smoke to land just before Brick peeks out the front, so that the Zookas don't peek out the back as the smoke starts to expire. So you see here that next smoke just landed, and that third smoke in the line has just expired before the Zookas have appeared out of it. With the reflare, we just need we can get that one smoke or two smokes. I suggest throwing your last, no I don't, so your last smoke will have to be can be one smoke. If you want to, you can double smoke it, but you can't use this smoke as part of your double smoke just because of the timing. Because brick's so far ahead, you won't be able to do them both at the same time. Otherwise, your smoke's going to expire before you arrive. So that's your final smoke position. You can do 2 smokes if you have the GBE. You saw that brick sort of went a little bit lower and just popped around that building damage statue. So either reflare a little bit earlier or just make sure that you account for that in your smoking. If you do lose the delay, obviously you need to shock a lot quicker. These rocket launchers are going to be in range, which is going to push us out to 6 shocks. Usually there are a bunch of machine guns in this vicinity, some more rockets up here. Some defenses up here, but they're usually just cannons. And if this laser is usually a mortar, then you won't have to shock that. Sometimes some rockets in here as well. You just have to base it on how many shocks you're going to need. BVD managed to make it work for 6 shocks because he managed to eat all those cells. There is... I'm not going to be able to click it, am I? Perfect. So there is, what is that? That's 816, just under 1.8 mil on the core. So you see his first shocks has already gone out. So he shocked the flamethrowers next to him, the shock launchers, the rocket launchers. So the flamethrowers are going to be the first things to fire, so that's why you obviously need to shock them first. Shock launchers the furthest away, so we want to shock them next as well. And then probably the laser. We've lost the delay on these rocket launchers, and then we just need to drop a shock on these rocket launchers and these rocket launchers, and we lost the delay on these ones, but that's fine. So flames and shock launchers because they're first to fire and furthest away, and then all of our rocket launchers and this laser. So let's have a look. Bang, bang. Don't need to get this bottom rocket launcher, but you may as well. Usually that top mortar is firing, so ideally we would have got that top mortar in that shock. Don't need to worry about the bottom one, so it's probably better just to get the top 3. And you might even want to accept the fact that that mortar's going to fire. If the only mortar's there, then you can just ignore that whole section. They're only going to clip the a few front Zookas. And then he's popping out some some critters either side of his Zookas. And that should just distract the flamethrowers and the rocket launchers on the right hand side just long enough. However, the shock launchers did fire into him, so maybe dropping that right critter in these boom cannons might have been better. Or actually this mortar, just so the shock launchers had a little bit, had something in between them and the Zookas, because you can see those shock launchers are going to just kadoosh, fry those Zookas, but it's all good because the core went down. Alright, so we'll have one more look at that hit in total. And then we'll call it a day. So here we go. Flag landing on the right hand side. As the Zookas is collecting those fuel cells, you clear out those mines on the path. Clear out any mines under this cannon as well, and then we can use that as our anchor spot. Slow it down a little bit. From that spot we can flare just above the corner on the wall, and making sure that we smoke ahead of brick, trying not to lose the delay and re-flaring to the spot in that one smoke. Flaring onto the core, get all of our shocks off, and we are going to hammer it down. Get some critters out there if we can, and medkits on the core, but BVD's on medkit strike. So there we go. Callisto has gone down. Hopefully that helps you whenever you're planning Callisto. It's not the most common hit for Callisto, usually doing mortar wraps or reverse mortar wraps, but sometimes it is the better option. Give us a comment down below if you would take that Callisto out any differently. Give us a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and subscribe for more Boom Beach.